Any good stories from the road?
Pipe up.
I wish we'd gotten to see a little bit more out of our punter.
I'm starting to puke.
It makes my stomach hurt.
I thought he was going to die.
I'm starting to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
He's on the probiotics.
Is Georgia playing the 1985 Bears this weekend or what?
A lot of Todd talk.
Rat poison proof.
They're mongeese.
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that. The hunting that we do will be done from us going the other direction.
Welcome to the Georgia Show. Pretty significant game in Athens over the weekend, guys. I'm Wes Blankenship. I'll be keeping these cats in order here on the show today. Jake Roos, Jake Rowe, Palmer Toms. Guys, you covered this game. We all saw it from different vantage points, different roles in mind. I can't wait to share those experiences with y'all after having a few hours to sleep on it and react to it as Palmer Toms did. And he wrote it all down. But we all have our own thoughts to share. And what a night, guys. What a weekend for Athens.
Big night, man. Big for a lot of different things. I mean, just some of the talk you've seen. I mean, obviously, it's so crazy. You do something like Georgia did yesterday, and then Alabama and LSU play the game that they played last night. And you notice if you're a SEC final junkie like I am, with Ben Watson and Takeo Spikes and Chris Doering. I mean, I watch it every Saturday. It's like
SEC After Dark is what they should call that show.
It really is the only sports show that I regularly consume. I mean, I listen to
Besides
Ryan Russillo's pod. Yeah. But I mean, I don't consume this one as much as I create it.
You mean you don't watch the replay and just pour over all the opportunities, watch the film like game film? That's what I do.
Not really. I mean, I guess I listen to it. I'll listen to the pod and kind of jump through and listen to different parts. I'll skip over me and listen to Palmer mainly. But
bad choice there, Jake. Bad choice.
Yeah, well, but I mean, ultimately, I watch it. I watch SEC final, this rabbit trail. I do, and they started off at LSU last night, LSU Florida, which I thought was really interesting. So, it was a big win, man, and you've seen it kind of reverberate today, and big time bragging rights over a hated rival. Sure, Jake Roos knows all about it, but I mean, just a massive win there for Georgia in a game that so many people said what couldn't be done, and it was actually done. I mean, exactly the opposite of the way everybody said that.
Eric Ainge said.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, that's one thing, but I mean, I heard so many different people there's no way Georgia can really stop that offense. Maybe it can kind of get a few stops, but Tennessee's going to score, and Tennessee didn't score, man. They scored 13. That's
How about
crazy.
Vegas, huh?
Yeah,
The
Vegas.
reason those chandeliers are so nice.
Brother, Vegas took 97% of the money line cash. Everybody was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna come in on Tennessee, get them at like plus 400. Let's go, get my little 4-1 out of this. They're gonna win." No, Vegas was like, "I'll take it." They hit a lick on those people's money for sure.
Oh yeah, Vegas was Robert De Niro in Casino when he's not wearing his pants and he steps out from behind the desk to get his hanging pants in the closet. That's a GIF description of what Vegas was last night. Buggy Dean says the Vols were exposed. Matthew C. was tracking with you on the SEC final show. And Rhett Womack gives us a go Dogs. Hold on. We got some Toombs County love in the comments. It's taking off here.
Shout out. Santa Claus, Georgia, baby.
Taking down Vidalia.
Santa Claus.
Palmer, you rested. What's going on in Santa Claus, Georgia?
Man, listen. Now I'm curious to know. Do you guys really feel that Tennessee was exposed? People said that. I don't know necessarily that I feel that way. I feel like what was exposed was that Georgia is a really, really, really good team. I don't know that Tennessee is a bad team. I think Tennessee may be the best team Georgia plays in the regular season, regardless of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I heard a lot of Georgia fans chanting overrated last night, and that's always the ironic thing about that chant. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but you don't want Tennessee to be overrated. You want Tennessee to be rated right where they were rated.
And listen, Tennessee earned what it got. Like, it earned everything that it got. And I think Georgia beat a really good football team. And the crazy thing is like, I think Georgia out offensed a really good offense. I think Georgia out defensed. That bar is not as high. Okay. That bar is not as high. All right. And they out defense Tennessee. They out special teams Tennessee. They out coach Tennessee. Like, I mean, man, Georgia could have named it score. I went back and watched that game. And, you know, if Georgia stays on the attack and it doesn't come up poor, you know, you would think like, oh, this pass happy, Tennessee offense. I think that rain just gave Kirby Smart the excuse he wanted. He's been begging for it. He's been like, give me the chance. Just sit on this football. And listen to
there was a lot of Vince Dooley love this weekend, rightfully so. And that was a half of football that Vince really appreciated, I'm sure.
4 times in the second half? They threw the ball 4 times in the second half?
Yeah.
Is that right? Oh, my God. That's crazy.
But look, guys, before the game, and, you know, Matthew C. shares this sentiment here. Tennessee had close wins that people weren't talking about. They were highlighting Georgia's close wins over Mizzou and Kent State, but, you know, they were kind of conveniently glossing over Pitt, that Florida game, how Bama really should have boat raced them. I mean, that's things that Georgia fans were looking at and saying, hey, look at that. But Georgia had to go out and prove it, and they did. And I think we all discussed and at least felt, as long as Georgia didn't turn the ball over and commit a ton of penalties, which isn't like them anyway, then look, they had a really, really good chance to win with that home field advantage, which was apparently historically elite.
Ooh, Wes, that is putting it lightly. I mean, you know, to go back to what Matthew just said there with the Pitt and the Florida and the Bama games that were being overlooked, I think Tennessee got a lot of credit for those games because of where those teams were at the time that they played them. You know, Pitt being a ranked team early in the season, ACC champions last year, you know, a hot quarterback with Keaton Slovis, hot transfer quarterback there. They got a lot of credit there for going on the road and winning that game. And honestly, you know, Tennessee probably there weren't a ton of expectations for Tennessee to, you know, blow Pitt out that early in the season because people didn't know what Tennessee was that early in the season. Pretty sure that was the second week of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Florida, kind of the same thing, you know, with both Florida and Bama. Those are 2 games that Tennessee has not won in a long time. So they get credit for winning those games regardless of how they won them. So you're right, Wes. Going back to what you said on the home field there, it absolutely made a huge impact. You know, we saw it tangibly with the what did it come out to be? 7 false starts?
It was 7 false starts and 6 sacks, I believe.
Yep. And 8 pre-snap penalties. And listen, I'm on the
there you go.
I'm on an 8-sack soapbox as well. Georgia had 2 sacks. Georgia had 2 sacks in that game that were not counted. Tramel Wildflower is a good kid, and he does not need to be robbed of sacks. He has very few to
I won't stand for the Tramel Wildflower over.
Tramel Wildflower doesn't.
Same with Ryan Davis.
Yeah, Ryan Davis. I mean, come on, man. What extremity has that kid not injured at this point at Georgia? And they're just out here swiping sacks from him. Shame on Georgia Sports Info.
Yeah, they gave. I don't
Tim Hicks, we're coming for you.
I don't think they ever gave Wildflower credit for the sack, but they did give Davis credit, and then they took it away. It was in the stat broadcast as 7 sacks. They announced it in the press box, and then they changed it to just a run for no gain there.
Well, listen, if you want to go to my Twitter, at Jake Emro, it's right up there. Go there, kind of scroll down. I got video of both sacks. They're both sacks.
And I
They're
noticed
both behind the line of scrimmage by at least a half yard.
They had video of a safety, but they didn't ever turn that either. Buddy.
Well, listen, we're talking about 2 different entities here. Like I don't know if it's Tim Hicks, okay? We're not going to start naming a bunch of Georgia names here.
That's a Georgia show deep cut right there.
I don't know who it is, but whoever's keeping them, I think I know who it is. They got to get this straight. I think I'm going to have to hit them up about it. Listen, I'm not gonna lie. I scraped
Right before Election Day, Jake Rose starting to campaign a little bit here.
Yeah,
It's getting some fire.
This
Change
is like
the result. I will not accept the results.
Stop the steal.
This is like a head coach who sends in film to the
Stealing
conference.
stats.
This is like a head coach who sends in film to the conference of things that he thought were called wrong. Jake's going to send in is just share his tweets with this person who will not be named and say, hey, these should have been sacks, right?
Jake Rowe out here altering Georgia record books for the history.
I mean,
no
listen,
question, dude.
I'm no Dave McMahon, okay? I'm no Dave McMahon. But
shout out my boy Dave.
Dave McMachine, baby.
Everybody knows Dave McMahon.
That reminds me of the Georgia-Florida all-time record. I mean, somebody had to be a rebel at the start of that to say, that game doesn't count. Back to the officiating crew. By the way, small note here, Bama fans that were complaining about the Tennessee game, I see what you mean. I get it now. There were some dicey ones in there, but Georgia good enough to overcome them, and they didn't commit as many as Bama did. Let's look at this tweet right here from Kirby Smart, and I don't think we need to overlook this tweet in the annals of Georgia history, and I don't want to overemphasize that, but Kirby's been a pretty powerful coach when it comes to using social media, and you look at 93 K-Day as an example of that when he first got the job, and he campaigned a little harder for that, went to the basketball game, all that stuff. But this tweet right here, guys, single-handedly sent Sanford Stadium and all of Athens into a feeding frenzy. And yes, Eric Ainge helped, but Kirby started it.
I'm of the mind personally that Eric Ainge was the motivator for all of it. I think that the disrespect that Georgia fans received was really what motivated them. They knew Kirby wanted them there, but for somebody else to come and be in that kind of position and say, look, this is not an intimidating environment, I think they went out of their way to disprove it.
Well, and it wasn't even just Eric Ainge. It was Tennessee fans, too, taking that tweet and saying, oh, Georgia's, Kirby is scared of this Tennessee team.
Yeah, there's a lot of that, man. Look, we couldn't escape it on Twitter, and it was everywhere. But I'll say this was one of the you're feeling yourself-ist weeks on Twitter I think I can remember from an opposing Georgia fan base that did eventually – I don't know if you want to call it exposed, but they got beat. They got punished.
Been quiet since.
I mean, if you're a team, you want to – when you experience that, whether it's to the level that Tennessee was this past week, I saw it too, greater, lesser, whatever. If there's any extent to it, you want to be able to do what Georgia did. You want to be able to, as a fan base, just kind of send it right back at them. And, I talked with a few people after the game. That I know that are Tennessee fans or follow the program closely. Yeah, and I talked to a few people and they're just like, I didn't see that coming. I didn't think that the offense can be done like that. And when I went back and watched the game, I just saw man, they really made Tennessee work for every single thing they got. It blew my mind that that Jalen Hyatt catch to set up the touchdown was easily the longest play of the day. I think it was like 26 yards or 24 yards. It was just dominant.
28 yards. 28
yards.
Wow.
Was Tennessee.
And Stetson Bennett had 49, 35. He was bombing
52. Yeah, 37, 49, and 52, I believe.
And a 23 if you're counting.
Thank you, Tim Hicks.
I put out that tweet earlier in the week of the plays of 20-plus, and Georgia fans have been calling for me to go back and recount now because obviously they know Georgia had 5 plays of 20-plus with the Dejan Edwards rush in there, and I believe Tennessee only had 1 play of 20-plus overall with that 28-yard Hyatt.
Yeah. A lot of numbers that you like to see if you're a Dogs fan. We like to see fans like Tomahawk Dog. Sorry for covering your face up down there, Jake. Tomahawk Dog. Hello, dog family. Great to be a dog. Welcome back in. Guys, we're building a big old party over at DawgsHQ.com, and weekends like this are really fun, and we invite you to partake. $1 for 1 year of premium content. Palmer had a plus story like that today that falls under that category. Resting and reacting, as I alluded to earlier. Palmer, don't give away the whole recipe here, but give us a little teaser, man. What was one or two of the things that stuck out to you after reflecting on this game for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the headline. Georgia left no doubt that the Dogs are the number one team in the country. That coming into this game, they had the AP and the coaches poll on their side, and the college football playoff committee was on Tennessee's side. And I feel very confident that they will be the number one team in the college football playoff poll, the rankings on Tuesday when those get announced. Just overall, I highlighted a couple of the players that I felt like, had to play well and did play well. Stetson Bennett, Georgia DBs, a couple of these wide receivers. You felt really good. If you're a Georgia fan and you were watching this game, when Stetson Bennett was clicking on all cylinders early in that game, you felt good about their chances. You felt good that Georgia was getting Arian Smith involved. You felt good that Lad McConkey was getting, scored that long passing touchdown. Georgia, and I said it to Jake, that turnover on the first possession, you did not feel good if you were a Georgia fan then, because that was the one thing that we all harped on for so long.
Yeah, as soon as that happened, I said, that's the thing that can't happen today, but they overcame it.
Right.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it was the response to that. Not only the defense holding them to 3 points, but also the offense turning around and scoring touchdowns on the next two drives, or two of the next three drives. And so, it ended up being, with the way that the defense held them to 3 and then ended up getting stops after that. And Georgia obviously stopped themselves with the turnover, but then turned it into 7. After the first 2 possessions for each team, Georgia had a 7-3 lead. And so you felt like you had weathered the storm of that turnover. And then ultimately, Georgia continued to put it on Tennessee. So the guys that needed to play well, I said it earlier, Stetson and those DBs, they did play well. Stetson played very well. A guy that I pointed out on wrote a story about him, Keely Ringo, Kirby Smart pointed him out, said that.
Hey, how about Keely saying, I won 11?
Yeah.
I love the whole exchange with that. And with Kirby's reaction was just, I thought it gave you a glimpse, and I'm referring to Kirby's post-game press conference. I will put a link to that in this episode description if you want to go back and watch that whole thing. I'm really fascinated by this one, guys. A lot of post-game pressers are kind of ho-hum, whatever, but this one gave me a glimpse into how Kirby operates when a lot is on the line. And there couldn't have been more on the line in the regular season than this game, but he was still so businesslike about it, and he kept referring to the plan. And his secondary bought into what that game plan was. Of course, he's not going to tell you what it was, but whatever it was, it worked.
Well, and let's
listen, there's something I wanted to point out about that, because Wes, I was thinking about it too, and I think this is a good segue to it. I thought about that, man, he really did harp on the plan. Like it was, I don't know, the fact that maybe there was some, disbelief or just, maybe some concern over whether guys were going to, latch onto the plan. I think it had to be a pretty tough plan. That's what kind of jumped into my head was like, they were going to be asking a lot from some guys in this game, and it was going to be a very, very difficult kind of all-out, relentless type of effort plan that only came together if everybody was all in, and getting everybody all in wasn't easy because the plan wasn't easy. And, I thought that was something that really stood out to me after kind of listening to that press conference. And I encourage everybody to kind of go listen to that part, to listen out for that, and to also listen about the Keely Ringo stuff too, because that was some of the best I've ever heard Kirby, kind of divulging a little storytelling there on Keely Ringo wanting to lock down Jalen Hyatt. But Palmer, sorry for interrupting you. I just want to get that out there.
I mean, you were really excited when you saw that quote. You were like, "Man, this is good. This is."
Y'all keep chatting. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to get this clip and put it in the show.
On Keely and on the plan, I think that let's not forget that it was Keely Ringo, the video that surfaced, from Kirby yelling at practice. It was Keely on that opposite end of the yelling. He was the one being called out. Kirby and these coaches were hard on these guys. It was a hard plan. And then, another part of that plan was Javon Bullard and getting him involved and getting, bringing pressure, creating pressure in different ways. He bought into that plan too. And talked to him after the game. And he said, hey, this was something that I'm really grateful that the coaches planned for me to bring pressure, planned for me to be a part of that. And, incredibly blessed to be able to come through with it. So, hard plan, hard on Keely in practice, but also plan well executed, as you could see with the performance of guys like Ringo and Bullard.
And also, too, listen, anybody who's been around Georgia knows that Kirby screaming at anybody, Keely, Ringo, or otherwise, knows that that's not a unique thing. That's
right.
I mean, I understand people taking that out of
Newsflash:
context.
Kirby was not shaking in his boots.
I don't think he was. That's pretty par for the course. I think that he says that on an average Tuesday. That's not. I mean, you can be.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question for him to yell at Stacey Searles like that. I mean, he might yell at Jerry Moorhead like that.
Hey, and who knows? That may not have even been from Tennessee week. I mean, for all we know, that could have been the Kent State prep.
Ain't no doubt.
Well, yeah, no one's confirmed that one, but we did confirm that Stetson Bennett did get his phone blown up by Tennessee fans.
No,
yeah, was what
it was though. I don't mean to put words in Kirby's mouth. I think that those were words from his mouth. That's a little bit how Kirby talks.
Yeah, that's just that's his vernacular. Oh, the Stetson thing, shades of Noshawn in out of LSU over at Red Stick there in what was it, 2008? Yeah, shades of but he actually got a chance to the home crowd, to the opposing crowd. And too bad Georgia didn't get to win a shootout on Saturday. I was really hoping Stetson Bennett would check off that legacy box. But that is something, it kind of ties together, I guess, with the shootout there. But, that's the only time I've ever heard that of being a thing was when Noshawn had it happen in 2008. And then all of a sudden Stetson gets it happening to him. I'm sure he turned off his phone pretty quickly.
Yeah, you would think so, but every little bit of motivation helps, even if Stetson doesn't admit that's what he used it for. Guys, we're no longer a regional show. We have reached the Big Ten market.
Bill Smith out here.
The Georgia show is now in the Big Ten market. If you're checking out the comment section on YouTube, welcome, Big Ten. Happy to have you.
My man, Rhett Womack, I would like him to reach out to me via DM, and we can talk about the proper way to frame up prima donna. But
not before Madonna.
I see what he's trying to say, but that ain't the way it goes, brother.
No, don't do him like that.
Hit me up.
But anyways, wherever you're from, hit the subscribe button. We're happy to have you. Look, I'm sure Georgia will have a very good chance of getting its opportunity to prove where it would hypothetically rank in the Big Ten East. Because according to Big Ten Country in the comments, it's third. But my favorite response so far has been from one of our loyal listeners and viewers calling it the Little Ten. And that really sticks it to the Big Ten. So that's what's going on in our comments, baby. Love it. Hit the subscribe button, though. You're welcome from no matter where you are. Roos, how about the recruiting section? How did that go? I mean, you had some names on there that would almost belong on a recruiting walk of fame, it seems like.
Yeah. Look, you're not going to do much better than that. As far as the visit list, I mean, we had it. It was stacked and stacked and stacked. Listen, if there was a 6'8", 2027 kid, he was there. I promise you that too. So, I mean, they loaded that one up. There's no question about it. And they delivered it in incredible fashion. The Dawgs did it on the field. And then the fans also came through in such an impressive fashion as well. I've been updating the recruit reactions throughout the day, and each kid I spoke to really, really blown away. You can go read the whole thing at DawgsHQ, but I'll give you a cut of a couple of them. Probably one of the most interesting I read was Sakobe White, who is committed to Georgia for 2024, 3-star wide receiver. Guy I don't think will stay at that 3-star range for too long, but he said fan base is awesome. The fans won that game for us. And, you heard it time and time again, guys saying, I was sitting next to somebody and they couldn't hear me talk. Every guy that kind of chimed in on this one said it was unbelievable. It was everything you could have asked for, including the cherry on top, which was the win. I think that recruits, for the most part, can kind of sort through wins and losses. I mean, guys lose throughout their high school career. It's not exactly a game or a game changer for them. If a guy drops a game, if a team drops a game, but I think at the other end of that is what the atmosphere is like, what the town's like, what the team approaches it as. Georgia delivered on all fronts and then capped it off with the win. I don't think you could have really asked for more. You heard it even from guys committed elsewhere. Anthony Evans, another guy included in that recruit reacts piece, he said, I'm just not sure you can replicate something like this. Or I'm paraphrasing, but essentially that. You hear that from guys that are locked in with other places. That really tells you something was special about yesterday. It was wall to wall. Every guy I spoke to had nothing but positive things to say, as you would imagine. And most of them said it was unbelievable, more than I could have even asked for. Chad Simmons did one with DeAndre Moore, and he said, I thought it would be like Alabama. It was nothing like Alabama. So a lot of good stuff from those guys.
That says a lot.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff from those guys.
You hear that, Big Ten country?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man, that Northwestern was beautiful yesterday. But no, get over and check it all out. DawgsHQ. I don't want to give all the scoop.
No.
Like I said,
it's all there for you for $1. I think you gave them about a quarter, like an actual quarter's worth of information.
Yeah,
there.
Every single guy I spoke to, and every single guy Jeremy Johnson spoke to, every single guy Chad spoke to, just blown away with it. And somebody in the comments, I believe it was on our message board, I think at DawgsHQ, said, this game won us games in 2024, 2025, 2026.
Yep. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Maybe somewhat of an arbitrary question here, but can you think back on home field environments? I know this one was elite. It was great. It was historic, but Georgia's had other big environments before. What are some other games that you think maybe helped Georgia reap some rewards? Not that one game can totally sway a kid, but one game that was impactful and you saw the ripples of that in Georgia's recruiting.
In my career, I would say it was probably Notre Dame at home. That's probably the other one I would point to. That the night game atmosphere, you get the new lights in, everything was just, bananas in the town. It was palpable energy. And, it was the same thing for this one. And, like I said, guys don't necessarily, I would encourage them not to base decisions on wins and losses for the most part. But the idea that you could be a part of something like what Georgia put on the field yesterday, that's what resonates with kids. And I think that you saw that at Notre Dame. You go back to that LSU game. What was that? 14. You're talking about just across the board, environments like this impact kids. It plants a seed, and a lot of these kids were younger. You had a lot of top 2023 guys on campus, but there were a lot of 2024s, 2025s, 2026s on that campus yesterday and on the sidelines taking it in. I think that it plants a big seed in a kid, in a mind of a kid like that.
Before I tell you about a fine t-shirt brand, Alex Waller is enjoying the show from Medellin, Colombia.
Medellin.
Oh, okay. Let me try that again.
Rose got a tilde on that.
Let me try that again.
Medellin.
Alex Waller is enjoying the show from Medellin, Colombia. Welcome, Alex.
But that's
Wherever
where
you're
Pablo
from.
Escobar.
I was going to say
was from.
this guy hasn't watched Narcos.
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Yeah, I believe that's where Pablo Escobar is
I
from.
just outed myself there. All right, that's fine.
I wonder what Alex Waller's doing there.
Alex, don't incriminate yourself.
Alex may be an accountant.
Alex, I hope that's not your real name.
Marty Bird.
There are some real names and some real dogs on the t-shirts at Breaking Tea, and they just released this new crop right here, the Bennett Bowers 22 collection. Look at that. They were ready to take that one to market. And then there's also the NIL collection promotion that they have with several Georgia players, including your favorite tight ends, Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington, as well as the mailman and Christopher Smith, who had himself a fine day yesterday. Someone pointed out that Chris maybe got away with some because Hendon Hooker overthrew a couple intended targets, but that's what pressure and home field advantage will do for you.
I've seen that mentioned, Wes. I've seen that mentioned a few times, and it makes me kind of want to redirect here for just a second onto something because Hendon Hooker did overthrow I think 3 balls.
Yeah,
I know on at least 2 of them he got hit in the chest like a moment after. Like at one time, I think it may have even been during the throw.
I think
so.
One he was being hit.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. I mean, I've kind of looked at the volunteer message boards over at VolQuest, and I've seen them be like, Hooker was just off. He was just off. I mean, Hendon Hooker got sacked 8 times. Okay, I mean 8, not 6, really 9 if you count one that got negated. So 9 sacks. He got hit a lot more times than that, and he was hit on at least, I believe it was at least 2 of those deep shots that he tried to hit, and it kind of makes me want to go just do something real quick. It's like a but thing, because Tennessee fans, I see a lot of it. Like, I would like to see Georgia play Tennessee on a neutral field, and then there's like, but, right? Well, my but of that is I would like to see Tennessee play Georgia on a neutral field as well. But, and then like,
are we inventing a segment?
Yeah,
here?
I mean, yeah,
right?
I think so.
I'm
into it.
I'd like to see Tennessee play Alabama on a neutral field.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Yeah, but I'm talking about as far as this game. Yeah, but I would like to see Georgia play Tennessee on a neutral field, and Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington combined for more than 3 catches for 27 yards.
Yeah,
Georgia didn't really even sink the tap into the keg, without those guys. I mean, come on, dude.
Those kegs are still full. Darnell they did try Darnell.
2
Stetson,
targets.
I think, wisely threw that ball a little low in the end zone, but you don't really want to throw the ball low to a guy that's 8 feet tall. So, look, the tight ends not being a part of the picture, I wouldn't have predicted that necessarily, but Georgia had a lot to prove, and they proved it. And some of these anonymous scouts are wise to stay anonymous with whoever they tapped in those reported deals where they talk to anonymous coaches, anonymous scouts. But you've got a tinfoil moment. Is this about to be a conspiracy theory? Because I've heard a conspiracy theory.
I swear to God, man.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them.
Yeah.
Not 1, but 2 coaches like circling William Poole.
Yeah.
In that article. I mean, God, I don't know, man.
I've got a buddy that.
Shout out.
Was Dan Mullen one of these coaches?
One of my buddies thinks that Kirby did it.
Whole thing.
Yes. One of my friends thinks it was Kirby.
I'm sitting here looking at Kirby in his office with a bunch of different cell phones.
Hey, Pete.
In front of him.
Hey,
Pete.
Dana Point Dog, baby, over there said no actual football man would say this. I said no actual football man. No actual football man is a great screen name. I hope somebody jumps on the $1 deal and comes in as actual football man.
Well, I will be honest with you. Dana Point, we call him by his real name. It's Guna, it's Laguna, or it's Gina, one or the other. But that is who Dana Point is. If you
it's
miss
not a
that,
long eye.
If you miss that, if you miss Dana Point, if you miss that, $1 for a year, He's up and running over at DawgsHQ.
Tyson Holyfield.
What, Jake? You called him out yesterday with a thread, didn't you?
Shouted him out.
Yeah, shouted him out. Yeah, I gave him credit where it was due. He talked about how Warren
did.
Brinson, and I mean, we're sitting here talking about a guy. We're talking about who he may not even be real.
He's a legend. He's a legend, Jake. He's not.
He is our collective nightmares come to life.
Guna is also Kirby, all right?
Do we think Guna is just Uncle Glenn?
He may be.
Never seen him in the same comment section at the same time.
I had to shout him out, though. I had to shout him out after the Warren Brinson sack because he had said, 97 and 88 are going to take over this game. And, I mean, they really did. Them and, there were 6 other sacks other than those 2.
Let's funnel this thing down to our finale, guys. It's fun. It's a fun night, but we've all been on the daylight saving switch to, I believe they call it daylight spending is what we're in now. But I found that Kirby quote about Ringo, and I know we talked about it 20 minutes ago, but I worked really hard to find it, so we're all going to listen to it.
He's resilient. He's a competitor. He texted me on, I guess it was Sunday morning as we were getting ready for Tennessee, and he's like, "Can I come see you?" And I'm like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "I want number 11." I'm like, "Well, it's not the game plan. It's not what we're doing. We're going to do it the way we think is best." And I appreciate your energy, your enthusiasm, but we're going to put a plan together, and we're going to ask you to execute it. And he bought into that. He practiced really hard this week. It was important to him to play well.
Clearly it was. And that pick, stellar. Time for our weekly Sunday dog stock segment. And guys, I'm gonna start it off. Stock up on me in our other weekly segment, chopping wood, because I said on Wednesday, I'm chopping wood about Nolan Smith being a key part of what this team is going to do, even though he's injured. And Kirby Smart confirmed that. He doesn't want to quit. He's a dog through and through. And apparently he had some words for the team before the game started. So stock up on me.
I met Nolan. I was saying this on the board the other day. I met him in 9th grade after he got his Georgia offer. He almost committed on the spot when he got that offer in 9th grade. Kid went through the whole ranks, played the recruiting game.
He did play the recruiting game hard, and I was going to bring that up.
But through and through, a dog, no question about it. Not many guys on that roster you would find that love Georgia more. He loved them when he was in 9th grade. He loves them now. Excited to see that.
Love that. All right. Roos, you got a dog stock?
Ooh, big
stock tip.
Yeah, well, stock down first up on that HughesNet internet. Jake Rose rocking over there. I don't know what's going on over in Jefferson. It's stalling out a little bit from time to time, but stock up big time on my man. 22 out of Baldwin, Javon Bullard. An incredible game for him. Talked about him on the radio the other day. I think that he's a guy that Georgia really needed soaring for that one, and came through in spades, man. Really like where this kid's headed. Be honest, thought he was a role player maybe when they were recruiting him. They saw the aggressiveness, really liked it. Think it paid big dividends for him on Saturday. And look, he's run into his share of adversity this year. Some of it self-created for sure. And I was glad to see 22 come through with a big game.
Yeah, he rocked. And I had a gut feeling about him too, man. I don't know what it was, but he was just nasty out there. All right, Palmer, stock up, stock down.
I'll go stock up on Ladd McConkey. He's a guy that has been, through some trials and tribulations this year, and opened the season with a strong start against Oregon. Had went into a little bit of a funk, a little bit of a slump, but seems like he's coming out of it now. Had a touchdown against Florida, had a big game against Tennessee yesterday, including a touchdown. And that's a game that means a lot to him. Growing up a Tennessee fan, in Chatsworth, a guy that, would have loved to go play for Tennessee. Georgia came calling, Tennessee didn't. He's wearing the red and black now and showing out against the orange and white. So stock up on Ladd McConkey. He's somebody that Georgia is going to need down the stretch. Wes, you mentioned that Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington didn't really get going in this game. Well, they need guys like Ladd McConkey for when Brock Bowers and Darnell Washington aren't going. And they need a guy like Ladd McConkey, especially now until they can get A.D. Mitchell back. So stock up on Ladd McConkey, little lad making big plays.
Lunch pail lad. Yep. All right. Ro.
Listen, got to point it out now. Georgia beat Tennessee. Georgia beat the number 1 team in the country without 2 of the guys. And I brought up Jalen Carter and A.D. Mitchell a while back. Now Nolan Smith and A.D. Mitchell. Without those 2 guys, 2 of the top 5 guys you'd have said in preseason, you got to keep these guys healthy. And Georgia lost 40% of that top 5 and beat the number 1 team in the country. I mean, incredible. Stock up on Stacey Searles. This man got blasphemed. Yeah. Okay, like for weeks and weeks and weeks while this offensive line was coming together. Played 3 bad quarters against Missouri. That is by far the most pronounced outlierish type of performance this offensive line has had all year. I thought Tennessee was going to give Georgia trouble. I really did. I that was my number 1 concern for Georgia's offense was, I watched Alabama and I watched Pitt and I watched Florida, and Tennessee just at times would just get relentless in those games of the rush. It looked honestly like what you saw from Georgia early in the fourth quarter. That deluge of pressure and over and over and over again getting to the quarterback. They had moments like that as a defense. They turned teams over quite a bit. Georgia fell a little bit victim to the bug of to that little turnover bug, but not so much there with the pressure. And one of the one times they did, Stetson Bennett made them pay, and probably the game that and probably the play that was the play of the game, in my opinion, was Stetson turning that 3rd down into a touchdown there to give Georgia the lead. But what an incredible performance by the offensive line to handle everything Tennessee threw at them.
Yeah.
Hey, that may have been the play of the game, but to me, the most impressive play in the game, Brett Thorson's punt. I mean, Kirby described it best in the post game. He said he kicked it like he was throwing a boomerang, and that thing kept spinning towards the sideline.
He didn't have to do the man like that. That's not like some kookaburra wings from the Outback Steakhouse.
Kirby's going to start dropping Crocodile Dundee references every time he talks about Brett now.
Yeah,
Kirby,
here we go.
An Australian accent.
This is enough.
They're gonna run a fake punt. Brett Thorson, the ball's gonna kind of sail wide of the mark. Kirby's like, I don't know, man. I think he was eating a blooming onion or something. His hand was slippery. No, but hey, that punt traveled. I saw some people talking about how it hit at the 20. I think that ball hit at the 15. That thing traveled. It was a carry if you're a golfer. A 61-yard carry on that punt, which was big stuff. I mean, that's a big deal. So it was a 61-yard carry on that punt.
I didn't realize it in real time until I got to go back and see a replay. I thought it was a great punt and a great play by Nyland Green. They didn't even need Nyland Green there. That ball was going out of bounds regardless.
Nope.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It was a great effort from Nyland Green. He tried hard.
Right. That was an old lady luck moment from
Matthew C says, get out there and recruit Coach Searles. I think Georgia's got a really nice recruiting class going at the offensive line spot as well. Monroe Freeling, a standout, probably one of the best offensive tackles in this class, period. Kelton Smith can cross-train between guard and tackle. Josh Miller, a guy that they really love. This is a nice group that they've got going, and credit to Stacey Searles for holding it together and building further.
And they've got dudes waiting in the wings. They've got dudes. Every player that starts for Georgia right now on the offensive line is redshirted, and they've got a lot of red shirts in the pipe right now. So
that's a good position to use the red shirt on. Yep.
Yeah.
Let them grow. Let them grow. Y'all, thank you so much. We could have talked about this game for much, much longer than we did. All the overflow commentary is over at DawgsHQ.com. We kind of adhere to the 24 rule like the team does. We're going to start focusing on Mississippi State this week, but there is plenty over on DawgsHQ.com and our YouTube channel to relive this win. I worked on a feature about Vince Dooley, got to hear from Matt Stinchcomb, Buck Ballou, Brad Nessler, Paul Feinbaum, Ryan McGee, all had some great things to say about Coach Dooley. I know it was another emotional start to this game honoring Coach Dooley and Charlie Trippy. So you can check that out. I also went downtown last night and talked to some Georgia fans who were reveling in the win, some evergreen content, if you will, that is pretty fun to watch no matter who you root for. And then, of course, the actual hard-hitting news on the other Bulldogs and on the recruiting trail coming from these fine gentlemen on the screen with me later on this week, including the big question. Jake, you mentioned Georgia's depth on defense. We got some injury questions that we're still trying to answer, and I know we'll have updates on that if you're a Georgia fan trying to stay in the know as Georgia gets ready for Starkville. And there's a lot to talk about there too, guys. Winning on the road in the SEC, as I say, every time we get together, it's hard. And a game like this one, it's kind of hard to come down from sometimes. So we'll see how the Dogs go about that. For Jake, and Palmer, I'm Wes. Hit subscribe. $1 for 1 year at DawgsHQ Premium. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Y'all have a great week. We'll do it again soon.